All right, so going into we're in the latter stretch of the season now. We're barely over 15 games remaining, and certain teams have figured themselves out. Some teams didn't. Some players have fallen off from averaging 20 plus points to not even probably getting an NBA contract over the next coming years. And that goes for a bunch of players. Remember D'Angelo Russell? He was the top 3-point shooter for the Los Angeles Lakers, and he's just fallen off of the Mavericks lineup, not even getting a rotationary job, and he didn't even report to the Washington Wizards, and getting high-volume, undersized guards that can shoot over a bare minimum clip with a spark plug. Guys like Jordan Poole, as well, has been a part of this conversation, where he's probably not going to get a particular contract like he did for the Golden State Warriors. The only person that would be considered over a contract is probably Michael Porter Jr. that's still remaining on the Brooklyn Nets because he's an NBA champion. He's the particular friend to do stuff that can get monetary value over Cam Thomas. That is the topic of the video. And I have nothing against Cam Thomas. Sometimes it'd be very entertaining seeing a bucket getter get buckets. And anybody that tries to say otherwise are glazing over the fact that you were not useful for any other part of the game. Not saying anything against that. It's just the God honest truth. Because if we're looking at his shooting splits and the way he can contribute around the game, he got the Dennis Schroeder effect. Where you try to bite as much as you can do. You try to bite as much as you can chew, and you know that you couldn't actually handle it. And you try to gamble more on yourself, not knowing your own actual value. If people were trying to glaze over that, he was averaging 24 points off 34 shooting from behind the arc. And the way he could get that off rough shot selection and not make his team better. And then you want to bring over to the fact that the Nets as a team is poor when he's putting up averaging 15 to 16 points over the games, and you're getting destroyed by the Orlando Magic and the Indiana Pacers. It's already a given that the Nets are already out of conversation for a playoff. Probably betting on the lottery. That are probably not going to go, but what was his last couple games? 0 points in a 122-99 upset. He's been DMP'd reportedly for majority of his time. Most of his shooting splits just come over trucking it from behind the arc. Not even corner balls when he's trying to move out the offense. And most of the time, it's just him being just a borderline spark plug. And it comes over nothing personal to Cam Thomas. But if you're trying to be that way and try to innate the narrative that teams just don't know how to use you, it really comes to say, when are you the problem at this point? Because remember when Kyle Kuzma was a major trade threat? Jeremy Grant as well has been major trade asset conversations for off seasons in the NBA season. And then that they know that they're just an empty calorie stat away from getting themselves barely a repeat veteran minimum contract in the NBA. Because people just wanted, a lot of wing inflation in the NBA, but trying to get that 6'3", minimum 6'1", he looks like combo guard that can move around and get around his own bucket in an inefficient setting and not make his team better while being a black hole defensively on a team that's probably going to be battling over for a top draft pick spot, or at least for some trade assets that can probably help contemplate so Giannis Antetokounmpo can stay. With the bare minimum value, knowing that they got you for a minimum, barely hitting that cap space, and then Cam Thomas and then people are like, why not just give him over the contract? You had that contract. You had 2 years, $30 million. That could have given you a minimum, at least damn near $15 million guaranteed, to play at least some meaningless basketball until there's a better deal that can suit you for a team that's willing to build around you. Well, not build around you, but at least be in a foundation where you could actually flourish your skills. So it's not just you trying to just do your two-in cross step over so you can get your meaningless random 40 points so guys can justify giving you a $30 million a year contract for the bare minimum. At least Michael Porter Jr. was part of an NBA team, and he had the frame and had to switch over to more of a defensive spot-up shooter that could actually do something over the ball in a high clip. No one denounces that. And I don't like bringing that up with Cam Thomas, because I found it fun when he was playing over with Brooklyn. But when you're trying to do that with a team with actual expectations, even if they are struggling, and trying to find you over the bare minimum, and even Doc Rivers couldn't even let it work, when are you going to say, I'm the problem? Because I can name like guys that were averaging a random 20 points, like even Terry Rozier. They probably bet the over that time, and then bet the under when he went to Miami, because he was averaging 20 when he was in Charlotte. You see the problem here? Do you see the massive problem here when it comes to being the franchise guy and just being another bucket getter, and you don't see the comparative difference where you're not really leading a team to anywhere? So when we're bringing up the distinction of what Cam Thomas could actually contribute to an NBA team, he had opportunities to go so. And not knowing that he doesn't know his own value, to try to gamble it on himself, I would just say, wait until a team that's trying to contend or just fitting that roster spot, and you could just sacrifice a bit of what makes you who you are by maximize but what you can give. Because anybody can just get a spark plug, secondary bucket getter. That's way more efficient. Hell, there's already a guy that's like that. He's just a different color. Because if you want a guy that can just shoot out the gym, can contribute on the other side of the floor while being undersized, can space out the floor, and then he can get you a 30-point game if the team needs it, just pick up Peyton Pritchard's line. That's it for me over in the DSC show. Like, comment, subscribe for more. You guys feel like they did Cam Thomas dirty, or you feel like it was a justified release out of the Milwaukee Bucks of all teams? That's it for me.